Hello, my name is Leonard Berg. I'm a soul therapist and author of the book, The Dis-Ease is the Cure. So I know what it takes to use upset and suffering as a stepping stone to accelerated recovery, healing, or remediation. Most of us have, or sooner or later will confront a loss in our lives, whether it be the decease of a loved one, the end of a relationship, loss of status, reputation, freedom, or possessions, or injury and diminished health or capacity. But how many people really feel you or understand your loss or what you're going through? You know that there's much more to it than the well intentioned condolences that people often voice. They might say something like, be strong, meaning get over it, just suck it up. Or, it's okay. One door closes and another opens. Or, your loss means getting to a better place. Now, while there's truth in what may seem to be cliches, I want to introduce you to someone whose understanding of grief is much more profound than this. He is a practitioner who recognizes what many well meaning people gloss over, that in spite of your loss, the positive essence in you lives on, meaning you can keep alive in you what could have been and all that you can be. So let me introduce you to a man who can feel you and the grief you may be experiencing. His name is Dr. Donald Tate, CEO of Dr. Donald Tate and Associates. He is not only a certified grief recovery specialist, he is also a doctor of metaphysical science, employing consciousness, a vital factor to aid you in experiencing relief from grief. And on top of that, he's a registered wellness yoga instructor. Dr. Tate has combined his knowledge of consciousness and wellness with a new and highly effective approach to coping with grief, known as the Grief Recovery Method, pioneered by the renowned Grief Recovery Institute at Sherman Oaks, California. And now I give you Dr. Donald Tate of Dr. Donald Tate and Associates.
Thank you, Lenny. If you can keep your head with all about you or losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired about waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give weight in hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same, if you could bear the hood truth you spoken, twisted by knaves that make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginning and never ever word about your loss. If you could force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they're gone, and so hold on when there's nothing left in you except the will, which says to them, hold on. If you could talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings and lose the common touch. If neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much. If you could feel the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And, which is more, you'll be a man, you'll be a woman, my daughter, my son. Everyone, please take a deep inhalation and deep exhalation. Again, take a deep inhalation and deep exhalation. Last time, take a deep inhalation. Hold it. Hold your breath. And deep exhalation. Hello, my name is Dr. Donald Tate, and welcome to the Grief presentation. I obtained my doctorate degree in what is called metaphysical science under the University of Sedona. It's under the umbrella of theology, psychology, sociology, and all those rest of those ologies. However, it was from a science point of view of two reasons. One, part of my studies was on some of the major religions and what they all had in common as opposed to their differences. And the other part was how these religions were related and approach health from a holistic point of view. 4 years prior, I attended the Hindu University of America in Orlando, whereby I studied a 5,000-year-old plus science known as Ayurveda. Ayu means life, Veda means knowledge. And basically, it was the knowledge of science or the knowledge of life. Within those years, I obtained my certification for yoga, my honorary master's degree in Ayurveda, and visited India twice at Ayurvedic clinic, doing research and abundance of classroom assignments, which included my thesis. Before the Hindu University of America, I followed my childhood dream, writing plays, produced and directed them here in Orlando and in my hometown, Edenville. Enrolled at the Orlando Vocational Technical School, where I met then my professor, Kujiteli Kweli. We just call him Kuj for short. There I studied television and film, thinking I wanted to be the Black Steven Spielberg. However, Kuj shared with the class every now and then about human behavior. He would say, don't work for Universal Studio, own it. I realized it wasn't about owning anything. It's about creating everything. Which brings me to the reason of this presentation. You see, I took a 4-day intensive class in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 9 years ago from the Grief Recovery Institute out of Sherman Oaks, California, where I learned about their grief recovery methods. Why? Our brother Frederick Douglass was correct with his statement. Without struggles, there is no progress. On that note, let's do an experiment. All right? Please, I want you to get a piece of paper and something to write with, and a calculator. You can use your phone. They have the little special apps for the calculator. And I want you to choose a number, any number, 3 digits, 4 digits, 5 digits. It doesn't matter. Just choose a number and write it down. All right, now double it. Add 20. Now divide that number by 2. Now subtract your original number you picked. Let's do this one more again. All right, I want you to choose any number because I want you to get this right now. Choose any number, 3 digits, 4 digits, 6 digits. It doesn't matter. Now I want you to double it. Add 20. Divide that number by 2. Then subtract your original number you pick. Now fold your paper, put it aside for later, okay? Also, there'll be a Q&A later on in the show. So if you have any questions during this presentation, please email me at releasethegrief@gmail.com. All right. Now let's break this down. The struggle. Yeah, the struggle. Let's ask ourselves, what is grief? Well, grief is the normal and natural reaction to loss of any kind. Therefore, the feeling you are having are also normal and natural for you. The problem is that we all have been socialized to believe that these feelings are abnormal and unnatural. While grief is normal and natural, and clearly the most powerful of all emotions, it is also the most neglected and misunderstood experience, often both for grievers and those around them. Grief is the conflicted feeling caused by the end of or change in a familiar pattern of a behavior. Now, this is taken from the Grief Recovery Handbook 20th Anniversary Expanded Edition, which I use in my sessions. You see, fam, we as a society, or some of us, are unprepared to deal with loss. Now, let me ask you a question. How many remember taking a class in first aid at some point in your life? Hypothetically, let's say, and I hope this doesn't happen, that somebody in your household, they fall and broken arm. Now, everyone here at some level would know exactly what to do. Me, I would call 911. But now let's suppose that same person, instead of just falling and breaking an arm, they just find out that they lost someone very close to them. Now, did we have a 911 for that? Which brings me to my second point, and that is we were taught myths about dealing with grief. She's in a better place. Don't cry. He's no longer in pain. Oh, here's a good one. You got to be strong and be strong for others. Keep busy. Just keep busy. It was the Lord's will. Time heals all wounds. And here's a classic. I understand what you're going through. Wow. Let me tell you about a true story about Astro, the family dog. I was about 8 or 9 years old when we got a dog named Astro. And yes, I did name him after my favorite cartoon show, The Jetsons. Well, one morning I found Astro curled up, stiff, cold. I woke my mom up, crying and telling her, and she did the best she could do about death. And they went through one ear and came out the other. But that evening at dinner table, my dad would interject between about death. And I started crying back again. And he said, this aha moment, don't cry, son. We can go to the pet shop this Saturday and get you a new dog. What do you say? What did I interpret that? Don't cry, meaning don't feel bad. On Saturday, we'll get you a new dog, meaning replace the loss. Wow. And that's not the end of the story, y'all. We got home that Saturday with a new family member. I didn't have a connection with this dog. I found it hard to love. I mean, it wasn't Astro. So I started crying even harder. So my dad ran outside, started yelling, "Boy, what you want, yelling, crying for? I got something for you to cry about." And he took his belt off and he spanked me in front of every neighborhood around. Now go to your room. Now, what did I interpret that? I tell you, stop crying, meaning don't express my feelings. Now go to your room, meaning grieve alone. Fam, please hear me. Grief is individual and relates directly to the uniqueness of all human relationships, whereby no two relationships are the same. Grief is emotional, not intellectual. You know the ones after they lost someone. How you doing, Jeff? Oh, I'm fine. Grief is a crisis. And in a crisis, we tend to go back to our oldest long-held beliefs that relate to dealing with loss of all kinds. Fam, grief is not a process. A process, by definition, is a series of actions or operations conducing to an end. Grief, by its very uniqueness, does not fit in that definition. Remember what we said. Grief is normal and natural reaction to loss of any kind. Grief is not orderly, nor does it have a predictable conclusion. It's not rational. It's not an identifiable set of stages. It's not diagnosis. On March 20th, 2003, I stopped by my mom's house to check on her after I got off work. She had her first stroke on January 2nd, about 2 years prior. And I called her to see what she wanted for dinner. I already knew the answer. Maryland fried chicken, dark meat. Make sure they overcook the chicken livers. She loves chicken livers. With a side of coleslaw and fries and 2 biscuits. I would end up with the fries and 1 biscuit. Way good that night. Looked at some television. Then she started yawning. Well, I know what time that was. Her bedtime. Lock the door behind you, Don. And she got it and gave me a kiss on the forehead and said goodnight. I remained looking at some movie till my eyes were burning, so I know what time that was too. At 9:05, my mom requested a glass of water, no ice. I gave it to her and told her good night. I'll call you in the morning, Mom. I kissed her forehead, locked the door behind me, and headed home. If I have known that would have been the last time I saw her talk to my mom, I would have said, "I love you," or "I appreciate you putting up with me." Or ask her when the last time she went fishing because she loved fishing. A wise man told me, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing now. People make time to do the things they want to do. Make the time. The time is now, fam. You and I have suffered long enough. It's time for progress. Taking the action that leads to recovery will require your attention, open-mindedness, willingness, and courage. In closing, there are three different categories. Three different categories. Which one are you? Now, there are those in the want to want category. Now, they're the ones who want to change something in their life. They're the thinkers. And then there are those who fall into to want category. And we all know those people. They're the talkers. And then there's this tiny group of people who want to make a change in their life so much that they block 30 minutes of their time to tune in on this presentation. We're the doers. If you're watching this presentation, already know which category you're in. Now let me answer some questions, all right? I thought I heard my phone beep and everything. Let's see. Wow, okay. This is from Fred. I lost my dog last month and my girlfriend can't understand my depression. What do I do? Well, Fred, first I want to say my condolence because a lot of us still relate to a pet as a pet. It's a family member. And she won't understand that until she really gets to understand you. Now, my suggestion, Fred, is give me a call at 571-969-7766 for a free consultation. And she's welcome to come and join you. And we'll just get it going on at that time. Let me go ahead and answer this one right here by Shirley. And by the way, I promise you, I will answer all the emails, okay? My husband lost his brother and insists on going out with his friend for a drink every Saturday and come home wasted. I believe it started after he lost his brother. What's your suggestion? Well, Shirley, this started way before his brother transitioned. We call this, Shirley, a STERB, S-T-E-R-B. And I'm going to tell you what that really means. It means a short-term energy release behavior. All of us have this. We believe that someone will go out, buy things, go drinking, and go into a lot more things. And they think that their hole is going to close in, which is not, because it's short term. Again, Shirley, give me a call at 571-969-7766, and I'll give you a free consultation. And I'll show you how to deal with your husband. Okay, we got one more time for okay, can you explain a little deeper about your statement that grief is emotional, not intellectual? Honestly, that's how I process intellectually. Well, yeah, well, we do that a lot. But remember what I told you, grief is natural and normal. It's emotional. Fam, you cannot get through your grief recovery intellectually. You can't go over it. You can't go under it. You have to go through it. That was a very good question. Very good. In closing, remember, grief is a normal and natural reaction to loss of any kind. Remember our little experiment at the beginning? Okay, let me repeat it for those who missed the experience I shared at the beginning. All right, I told everybody to pick a number. Choose a number, any number, 3, 4, 5 digits, doesn't matter. And I told you to double it. Now add 20, divide that number by 2, then subtract your original number you pick. Let me say that one more again. I told you to pick a number, any number. Now double it. Now add 20, divide that number by 2, then subtract your original number you picked. Everyone is unique and process grief individually. And this is the reason I ask you to choose any number. However, each of us, every last one of us, will go through grief. And this is the reason you all ended up with the answer 10. I want to thank you for tuning in and watching this presentation. My next group session starts next week. So please email me now to register for one of my groups and one-on-one, and also my pet sessions at releasethegrief@gmail.com, or feel free to call me at 571-969-7766. That email again is releasethegrief@gmail.com, or call me or text me the number, your message at 571-969-7766. Oh, by the way, while you got your calendar still out, I will be a guest on the Glow 365 virtual show on Tuesday, November 16, 2021 at 7 p.m. ED time on how to get relief from grief by flipping the script. Streaming live on Facebook at Glow 365 virtual show and YouTube at official KUO magazine. Until next time, I'm Dr. Donald Tate of Dr. Donald Tate and Associates. Find your holistic therapy for holistic you. Remember, we're in this together. Oh, by the way, it's October, Cancer Awareness Month. Real man, do rock pink. I'll hear from you soon.